The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
Hey everyone, Kevin here once again to talk about our lovely Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/makeusbetter. PSVG has been officially a part of this for almost a month now. We're just a little bit shy, and we really appreciate the support we're getting from the community, from our listeners from before, and our new listeners just joining us now. So a big thank you to our platinum executive producers, Corey Hicks at twitch.tv/chicks_18, and Mr. Mark Moody. You can find him at youtube.com/outoflives. Our gold executive producers, Sheldon, Benedict, Tony Baker, and Panache Malloy. And then, of course, our executive producers, Stephen Iafrate, JoeySplats, Caro, Underwood, Dante, Bellini Jr., Jared Gauthier, Dude427, Kevin Austin, hey, that's me, Josh Borbone, hey, he's on the show tonight, Tammi Ryan, Robert Miller, Tim Aulph, Joel Brooks, Martini Jean, NastyBoots, David Ray, and Jesse Armstrong. So thank you all for your support. We truly appreciate it, and you are consistently and constantly making us better. If you're interested in supporting us or just finding out a little bit more, head on over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. But now, let's get on with the show, everybody. Oh, hey, you're still here. Welcome to this week's episode of PSVG, the flagship show of the Play Some Video Games podcast network. It is I, your host, Kevin. As always, we appreciate you for listening, hopefully telling a friend, and continuing to support us. With me this evening, Mr. Josh Borbone. How are we doing today, sir? And you're muted. Yay! Still can't hear you. All right, well, Josh figures that out. Donnie's here, back from vacation.
What's up?
Hey, that EMP didn't stop you, huh?
Oh, no. I heard rumors about an EMP here in the Dallas, Georgia parts, and I couldn't believe it. But no, when I got here, everything was working. So, yeah, well rested.
That's what I get for buying stuff off Amazon, I think. But all right, Josh, are you with us now?
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. Can you still not hear me?
Now I can hear you, so you are officially here now.
Oh, boy. Hey, I'm exhausted. How are you?
You're always exhausted. You need to start podcasting in the daytime, apparently, I think. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, or go back in time before I had a kid and do all my podcasting then, and then I wouldn't be exhausted.
I think we're all that way, to be honest. So, what are you going to do? But anyway, thank you both for being with us tonight. Tonight, we have a chock-full show for you all. We have a full mailbag with tons of questions. We have tons of news to jump into as well. So let's roll right into it and catch everyone up with what we've been playing. Josh, why don't you go first since your microphone's still working?
It'll be fine, I promise. This isn't bored of video games. We'll get no more technical issues. Video game playing has been light. There's been a lot of board game playing, I will say that. But I did jump back into No Man's Sky, like pretty much everyone else who owns the game. I actually opened up my case and realized I still had my receipt from the first day of purchase. Not sure if I was keeping that for like bragging rights or some weird like I never keep receipts for anything. So it was just
you're considering returning it?
I think I've considered returning it like 100 times. But yeah, I mean, wow, what someone can do with a game. I don't know if I don't know how this happened. I don't know where the money came from to do all this. And I just don't know, like, what's the difference between No Man's Sky, and I'm not trying to make a burn on Mass Effect Andromeda, but what's the difference between the two of these things? No Man's Sky is a completely different game, and I already loved regular No Man's Sky initially. I wasn't so bent out of shape over the things that he promised that we didn't get.
Right.
Because I kind of went into it not really having followed it, besides the fact that I knew I could travel to other planets. So I will say I jumped back in. For the people who haven't jumped back in yet, I didn't really play through the other updates, so I kind of went from 0 to 100.
Oh, sure.
Like, I
Yeah,
played
big changes.
base and I skipped the patches. So, right away in this, at least in this new update, I think they immediately ask you if you want to start a shared world or start your own world that people can join. So you have two different choices right away. So it's almost like single player, multiplayer.
Yeah.
To an extent. And after you make that selection, then you are faced with 4 different game modes, which you have your normal game mode, you have survival, you have permadeath, which everything is erased in your galaxy once you die.
That's a terrible idea.
All your discoveries and everything. And then create mode, which I think would be, I don't want to call it like Minecraft because I'm not familiar with Minecraft as far as the building goes, but unlimited resources. You don't need to farm for iron or carbon. It's just basically sandbox mode of the game. So you can build bases as much as you want. You can explore planets for as long as you want without having to worry about dying or having to repair your ship because you'll have all those things accessible to you. So those are all your options. I stuck with regular mode. And of course, they put me on a planet where it was negative 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and I died before I could find my ship.
Oh my God.
Wow. And then once I found my ship and went on a mission, which was like 700 kilometers away, about 300 kilometers in, a giant storm came in and dropped the temperature to negative 178 degrees, and I had to find a cave and hide in it to not die. So it's still challenging, but it's in third-person mode now, which is a big difference already.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do know you're able to customize your character to be even different races now, which, that wasn't even an idea of something you could do in the first game. I have seen people playing with other people already, like a 3-man team. The environments look better. Everything's sleeker. Everything has changed. So if you've played No Man's Sky originally and you mined material, it might look the same, but everything works differently. So even just looking at a piece of iron, it looks different. It shows your stats. It shows you if you've discovered it yet. It shows you all these different things about it without even having to go into any menus. So they overhauled the whole game. It's basically a brand new game. And if you're like me and held on to your copy, or you bought it when it was $10, 2 Black Fridays in a row, like you got a major victory. And even if you don't like this game, give it to someone else. The trading value is probably still pretty low, but
although I wonder if GameStop. I was just thinking. I wonder if GameStop is going to jack up the price now or something.
I think the price has gone
copies.
up, but I think it was only like $14.99. I don't think it jumped up too high.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
But yeah, it's great. I encourage everyone to give it a try, even if you haven't. This is probably one of the times I would say you don't need to spend the money to play it on Xbox because you can get a PS4 pre-owned so cheap.
That's true.
I would say, get it on PlayStation if you have a PS4 Pro. If you have not that it's going to make a huge difference, but if you have a PS4 and maybe an Xbox One S or X, it definitely does benefit from that. Either 4K or scaled 4K graphical upgrade. So it looks great. I'm excited to play more of it. And that's pretty much it for video games for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. A lot of people were talking about it now, which is good to see this story that, we were, ourselves included, but the industry as a whole kind of like cracked a ton of jokes about No Man's Sky, and now it seems like it's finally the vision that the developers had in the first place that's just coming to realization now, which is, in the eyes of many, it might be too little too late, but it's still really cool to see it, and then the positive feedback it's getting now, the appreciation it's getting now. So, Donnie, you've been gone, man. Did you do some gaming on vacation, or did you just completely unplug?
I tried my best to completely unplug, and I did for quite a bit. Did some gaming. Yesterday I played Gears 4 with Q. We've recently started replaying through the campaign co-op, which we're streaming. So we're doing it every Tuesdays. And I really like that game. Like, I really do. I think it's, as far as the campaign, I think it's my favorite in the series. I thought I had it all written down, and I guess I deleted it. No, we played a lot of games. But while I was on vacation, so I went to the woods, like in the mountains, and then I came back to the house, and my air conditioner had gone out, and I had to replace the blower motor, and that blower motor that was out caused the AC to free up, so it was frozen. So then it turned off, and then it melted because it's blistering hot here in Georgia, and the carpet was damp again. So Kevin, in his wisdom, his really good friend wisdom, goes, well, you're going to the beach tomorrow, so stop worrying about it, play some games, and just leave it behind. And that's what I did. But when I came back, we ripped up the carpet, and we painted this floor. My wife wanted to do this, by the way. Our floor looks like a garage, like in our basement. We've painted it with this stuff, and it's like speckles and whatnot. Anyway, getting to the gaming part of this, I didn't plan ahead like I wanted to, or like I thought I should have. And what I didn't realize until the very end was that I painted my Switch and my Xbox away from me. I had painted the entire room all the way to the door.
It's like a sitcom.
The Switch and the Xbox was on the entertainment stand all the way across the other side of the room, which I'd already painted. I was like, man, that was a mistake on my part. So for like the 4 days where I was at home during my little vacation, I played my PlayStation 4, which I haven't done in forever. And so I beat Uncharted 4 again. That's one of the games that I went back through. And I really, I mean, for one, you guys already know, I really love that game. That game is really good. Have you ever replayed it?
No.
Nope. I actually have never replayed any of the Uncharted's. I've beaten them all once and just let that memory sit as
Uncharted 4 has bonus content when you beat the game that you can go back and play. Now, it's not like story-based stuff you miss. It just unlocks all of these options that you can use. And one of them are rendering filters. And I played entire chapters in their cel-shaded, like Wind Waker style. And I posted a video and put it up there. You can play in black and white. You can make the entire landscape like this rainbow groove color, and it like moves as you move. And it's more than just like a photo filter. That's the like the takeaway that I had when I was playing. I was like, man, this is deep, because like the cel shaded even changed like animations. Like, so like tires as they spun out mud and whatnot, like the mud was like cel shaded mud. It wasn't like just colored differently. You know, it was crazy looking. You could, you obviously you could like invert the colors. You could do like sepia tone. They've got all this different stuff. You can also play as any of the character outfit. And I say any, you have to unlock them with like these points.
Right.
I had so many points, I guess, for my first, it didn't matter. Like I just had insane amounts of points. So, I played the entire last 6 chapters with Nathan and Sam in tuxedos. In
James Bond style.
Well, because you have that scene where you got to go and crack, and so you're wearing the tuxedos and the waiter outfit. So I played the rest of the game like that, and it's just like ridiculous. And I was like, I had no idea that any of this stuff was here. Yeah. You can swap out a gun whenever you want, which makes it a lot more fun to play. Oh, and there's bullet time. You can unlock a bullet time mode.
Oh,
and play the thing like all Max Payne style, where you pull it out and go do as you jump and stuff. It's nuts. Like the stuff you can do is crazy like that. There's all these different modes, and you can change the way the game plays, change the way the game looks, change the characters, change the outfits, change the weapons. It was cool. It was fun. It was fun. Like 2 or 3 days. We played a lot of Wii U. Took some pictures last night. Played a little Twilight Princess. I'm having that Zelda itch lately, and I booted it up, and I got to tell you, it's been a couple years, I think, since I played it, and it looks better than I thought it did. And it really does. They did a really good job on that port. The port looks good. It was a really good looking port. We watched the British Open because it was this week, and my son's got that golf itch. So we've been playing all the golf games. I've been showing him all the golf games. So we did Wii Sports Resort, and we did Power Star Golf, and we did Everybody's Golf. We did Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour. We've been playing a lot of those once I was able to get the Xbox back. My son's favorite, by the way, is the Rory McIlroy thing. And then I played that Far Cry 5 DLC, which I guess is have you played it, Kev?
I have it downloaded, but I have not gotten to it, unfortunately.
I played the Starship Troopers pack. The
pack on Mars, whatever. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really good. I think I'm done with it. I played it for like 3 or 4 hours, maybe.
Oh, that's good.
Like one night, I played a good bit of it, and it's just kind of like the same thing.
Mhm.
It's just very, very repetitive, but it looks good. It did crash on me too, so it might be just a little rough around the edges. But it's funny story, funny dialogue, funny character stuff. One dude, you just have his head's like on a robot, and he talks to you. It's really, really goofy. I do like that they do have some missions that teleport you back into like the Far Cry 5 world. It's kind of like that Zelda Master Trial stuff will put you back into a scenario,
Right.
but you're fighting all these arachnids, and that's why I said like the Starship Troopers thing. Like you're fighting all these arachnids, they come up from the ground like tremors, and really that's it. You go and there's the queens that you have to take down and get all of their stuff, and really all you're doing is finding like these orbs and then unlocking towers to let you find more orbs and then more towers to unlock, with some dialogue sprinkled in there. I don't know how long it is. Like I said, I think I played it for like 3 hours. And I just kind of turned it off. And while we were on vacation, I took my 3DS and my Switch, but I couldn't use my Switch on the TV because I've never seen this before, but the hotels actually had something in their TVs that stopped me from plugging into it.
I've seen that at one hotel while traveling for work. It's not common, but I'm starting to see it. They're just trying to prevent people, I think, from streaming stuff or hooking up consoles. But I've seen it a few times.
Nuts. Yeah, I mean, I did everything. I plugged it into their box and I unplugged all their stuff, but I couldn't. It wouldn't work. And so, needless to say, I haven't played Octopath Traveler. I'm scared to, actually.
Yeah, we've heard stories.
Yeah, it sounds like such a time crunch and time sink. Says the guy who started playing Twilight Princess. And, but I started playing my 3DS, and we did pick up Ace Attorney Dual Destinies.
Okay.
On 3DS, and I started playing with my wife. I've never played an Ace Attorney game before.
Oh, really? That's okay.
My wife really likes it. She really digs it. And I was just kind of like laying on her shoulder while she played it. And she likes to play it. I don't see how. That is a dialogue text heavy game if I've ever seen it. It's just A, objection. And it's like, it's funny. To quote her, she said, "This game is stupid as," and then she said, "but it's kind of fun." Yeah. That's her review. That's box art. Melissa from PSVG. And so I think in a nutshell, I'm skipping around the Nintendo stuff so I can save it for Shaq.
Yeah.
I do think I'm going to buy WarioWare Gold. I'll just say that if you want to hear more about it, tune into Shaq this week. But I think I'm going to play. I think I'm going to buy it actually, and it's pretty fun. But that's it.
I love WarioWare. I just wish it was on Switch. That's my only gripe. Is it should be.
This one's really good.
Yeah, I mean, WarioWare games are great. I always love them. So for me, I'll talk about Nintendo because I don't go on the Shack unless I invade it and take it over with the hostile takeover like last week.
What? I don't think last week was canon. That didn't count.
It has an episode number. It's there. Caroline was there.
Does it? Have you checked it lately? Does it have an episode number?
Caroline was on it. It's canon. Anyway, so I finally found out libraries in Rhode Island started getting Nintendo Switch games. Finally. So I was able to reserve some, and I got some that came in already. And so I played through Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze finally. I thought I had played it on Wii U. Apparently I did not. And I was confusing it with whatever game was before that because I was like, I don't remember any of this game at all. So played through the whole thing, breezed through it, fairly easy. Did a couple stages as Funky Kong just to kind of try it out and see what that was about. Interesting mechanic, and I will say the way they marketed that with Funky Kong was kind of like, hey, you can't die if you're Funky Kong. It makes it really easy for kids to play. That is not the case at all. You can very much still die as Funky Kong. It just gives you extra hearts, and you can double jump and glide as opposed to just your normal jump. That's really all it is. And he cannot use your companions like Dixie, Diddy, and Cranky Kong. He doesn't use those. He just it's him by himself. So it does make it a little easier, but it's certainly not like an easy mode as it was kind of panned out to be. Beautiful looking game. The graphics are great. A lot of fun. My only not complaint is I think I'm over Donkey Kong Country. Like they just haven't evolved at all, like ever since the first one on Super Nintendo. I think that's kind of thing. Like I've always wished something new would happen. It's not coming.
Maybe it's just a good formula.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but at least with Mario, you get some little twist to keep you going. This twist was, hey, you can get Funky Kong. So like, and it's really like that really didn't make any difference in the gameplay as far as that. But it's still, I mean, the music is still fantastic. The game is great. It's fun. I'm glad I played it, but yeah, kind of over it, but it was good. The other one I'm playing now is Yoku's Island Express, which at the recommendation of Justin had mentioned it a few weeks ago. If you're not familiar with it, you play as a dung beetle, and you are basically, this can be described as a Metroidvania platformer pinball game. That's
Sonic Spinball.
No, it's more in depth than that. So Sonic Spinball still had you contained in a pinball machine, essentially. This is like an open world, like Metroid, where it's blacked out and everything, and like you discover areas as you travel. Like otherwise you can't see it. There's a lot of going back and forth, up and down, traveling throughout the map. It's almost like SteamWorld Dig type world, but the way because your character can't jump, he has to be shot up by pinball paddles essentially, and you have to unlock them. Like certain ones are blocked off that you need a certain amount of fruit to unlock, and then you're able to use it. You have to do tasks for different insects and creatures on the island. And just a lot of traveling back and forth. It's fun. I will say that. Definitely something, if you have the Switch, you should check out if you're able to get on the cheap. I'm not sure what it actually retails for. I'll have to look that up later. But it's a lot of fun. It's cool. I'm glad I'm playing it. I don't know if I'll beat it. It's only a 7-day. Like, it's weird. So a couple libraries in Rhode Island will let you rent a game for 21 days, which is plenty of time to really dig into something. And the one that's next to my work, and unfortunately is where I got this one from, because the other ones didn't have it, gives me 7 days. So I only have a week to play, and I kind of only play the Switch on my lunch breaks because of the other game I'm playing, which I'll get to in a sec. So I don't know if I'll have enough time to beat it entirely, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely cool. I'm glad I played it. Nothing earth-shattering as far as story, but the game mechanic is certainly different than anything I've ever played. And lastly, Nathan sent me over Donnie's copy of God of War, and I booted up that bad boy. And I know I'm super late to the party, but oh man, that game is fantastic.
I mean, you're not Devin late to the party, but
Well,
yeah,
that's true.
You're pretty. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying. I'm glad somebody's enjoying it.
Stab it, Nathan.
What's the trade in on this thing now?
I have no idea. I'm trying to beat it as fast as I can based on my availability, so I can get it back to you. But it's a lot of fun. I'm probably 2 or 3 hours in at this point, maybe even slightly more. I'm loving it. The dialogue is great. The fact that he keeps going boy all the time, that doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people kind of got sick of that. I find it entertaining and very fitting of Kratos' character. And I will say, I don't know what it is, I absolutely love the voice acting for Kratos. Like that voice is amazing. I don't know what it is. I just love that voice. I'm like, that is great. The story is really cool. I will say and not to get in spoiler territory in case there are people out there who are like me and haven't played it. That first
Devin.
Introductory boss battle, like at your house.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the hardest thing I faced so far. And I'm like 5 hours into the game. Like that intro.
Yeah,
like,
that might be about right.
I got scared because I was like, this game is so hard. I didn't die, but I almost died. And I was like, man, I was not expecting this. But the rest of the game has been going pretty smooth. So
wait till you find one of those Valkyries, man.
Yeah, I know. I've heard
those things are nuts. The thing is still trading in for over $20. So as soon as you finish it, march over to your GameStop and get me a gift card and send me that code. Don't even ship it back to me. It's not worth shipping back.
That's true. You're right. Okay.
But
I will do that.
I remember when I beat it, I was like, I'm going to play through this again, and maybe one day I will, but probably not. So yeah,
I mean, this seems like the game. Like I know there's a ton to do, and there's a lot of post game content. You can do a lot more collectibles, but I think for the type of experience this is, I think once you play it, like you're set, you're good. You know what happens. You got the complete story.
It is really good. It's really good.
I love it. So I'm looking forward to playing more of that, and that's kind of why I only play Switch on lunch breaks because I'm trying to dive as much time into that as whenever possible. And that's why I also haven't touched the Far Cry 5 stuff, but. That's enough from us. You've heard plenty from Donnie, Josh, and myself. So let's hear from you guys. It's time to check out the messages.
Message for you, sir.
And our first one comes from Caroline. Speaking of Caroline, since we're approaching the dog days of summer, what's your favorite summer-related or beach level in a video game? Donnie, why don't you go first?
All of Wind Waker.
Oh, duh. I should have saw that coming from a mile away.
Which was the response that somebody tweeted to Caroline the moment she posted that. And I was like, yep, that's a really, really good answer. Yeah, that's a really good answer.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for you. For me, mine also makes sense. In Earthbound, there's the town of Summers, which is a beach resort that takes place out there. So I enjoyed that part. There's a lot of funny dialogue and stuff there too. And then kind of my dual answer here, which is the epitome in my mind of beach levels, Delfino Island and Super Mario Sunshine is a great summer getaway type thing. How about you, Josh?
So if I don't include the beach from DOA volleyball, the best. It's not even the best in the terms of enjoyment. It's
Sure it is.
It's from a game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES, the underwater level where it has the electrifying coral.
What?
The most difficult level in all of video games.
That's your favorite?
I love that someone made this level.
Okay.
And to the extent that I don't know if you guys are watching the Troy Baker and Nolan North retro replay show.
Yeah.
But they did Battletoads, and they were talking how the game developers made the game hard on purpose so people would have to keep paying rental fees to rent the game.
Yeah.
That's ingenious.
Which makes no sense because they're not getting a cut of that. But anyway.
They must have somehow.
I don't know. But
maybe they thought if people kept renting it, they would eventually just buy it.
Yeah, maybe that's true too.
But yeah, that turtle level, man, I remember that. And I don't know how, because I could never do it nowadays. I beat that game as a kid. I remember that. And
Me too.
Those levels were god awful. But I guarantee you, if I tried to play that now, there's no chance in hell I'd be able to beat it. There's no way. There's no way.
Like you come up above the sewer grate and you have to find your way through without getting run over by the shredder mobile or whatever. It was a nightmare. That game. Oh boy.
so bad. All right, so we'll jump to the next question. Thank you, Caroline. Drew asks, what are your favorite things to do in the summertime outside of games? Josh, you take this one first.
Outside?
Outside of games. Not necessarily outside, but just outside of gaming.
Oh, outside of gaming in the summertime. No, typically I'm a big beach guy. So if I can, it's tough now to get to the beach, but we're not too far from a lot of beaches. So I spent a lot of summers on Cape Cod. So I would say going to the Cape just in general, for me, is probably my favorite thing to do in the summer while not gaming.
Fair enough. I can't really go to the beach because I get burnt. So beach is not my favorite thing. I'm mostly an indoor guy anyway. So gaming kind of in the summer is where I game the most, I think, actually. But my favorite thing to do other than gaming than during the summer is I also find summertime to be a great time to go to the movies. I love summer movies. They're not necessarily the best movies a lot of the time. Sometimes there's some really good ones, but a lot of times it's some cheese and some popcorn movies, if you will. But I like those, and that's the time of year I like to kick back and watch a couple flicks. We headed up to the drive-in last week and saw Incredibles 2 and Ant-Man and the Wasp back to back, and that was fun. And ironically enough, I was outside during that time, but the sun was down, so it doesn't count. I was okay. Donnie, how about you?
Yeah, my friend Drew actually wrote in this question. We had lunch today. And then we were getting to talking because I just recently went to the beach and I did all the fun things. I had rum, like boat drinks in my little chair as I sat and, enjoyed the sun. I flew kites, which I never really do. And obviously went swimming and all that. But really the question, we started to talk about things that we used to do in the summertime before we had like full-time jobs. We couldn't do anything. Some of the things we used to didn't play golf and do sports and outdoor things, but we used to love going to concerts. And me and my best friend Drew, we've traveled far and wide to like go to concerts. And I mean, like going way, way back to middle school, we did like Warped Tour, Ozfest. We've seen Chili Peppers, we've Music Midtown, like all this stuff. Shaky Beats is an Atlanta music festival that we used to do. And like one of the questions that I was going to riff off of this topic that we started talking about was, if you enjoy going to concerts, I don't know if either of you do, what's a band or two that you haven't seen that you want to see like soon or, before you leave the planet or anything like that? Because that's what we were talking about. I was like, I think he hasn't gone to a concert in 2 or 3 years. And it's about the same for me. I saw Bruno Mars a couple years ago at Music Midtown, and that was the last one, and I don't really go anymore. And it's something we used to love to do and always used to do it in the summertime. I can't really think about seeing a concert in the winter or the fall. Like nobody wants to do that. So Kevin, you got a band or two that you'd love to see?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of I've had this checklist of bands I wanted to see before they stop doing it type deals. And one of those is not necessarily a band I'm a huge fan of, but I have to respect what they do, and that's Aerosmith. I would like to see Aerosmith live. I've seen some greats live. I've seen Rolling Stones. I've seen Bon Jovi, bands like that put on a great live show, and I think Aerosmith would do the same type of thing. And then unfortunately, what would have been my top pick is no longer possible. Is I missed out and I never got to see Linkin Park live in concert, and I would have loved to see that. And unfortunately, that can't happen now, so that's out the window. But those would be my picks.
Josh?
It's interesting that Kevin says that because we actually had tickets for our first Linkin Park concert 4 days before it happened. So we were actually supposed to, or after it happened. So we were actually gearing up and getting ready. We found a sitter and everything. So that was a bummer, but obviously worse for other people than us. Pearl Jam, that's my big one. I've been trying to see them since I was 15, and I just, for whatever reason, have never gotten to see them. They've even played Fenway Park a couple times, which is like a dream concert for me. And Foo Fighters, who also just played Fenway Park last weekend.
Yep, I know some people that went to that, yeah.
I would love to see them as well. It's funny because we had tickets for Evanescence and Lindsey Sterling, and we couldn't get an overnight sitter, so my wife and her sister went. So I stayed home and podcasted with Bored with Video Games, so I missed out on that show. But I've seen them both individually live. But I heard it was an amazing show, and we now have tickets for Pentatonics with Echo Smith.
Oh, that's cool. Pentatonics is great. Yeah.
Courtesy of that Ticketmaster lawsuit, I have about 22 free tickets, and they added that to the summer of concerts for this year. So I grabbed those. So hopefully we'll get to go. I grabbed 2 different concerts for Pentatonics, one in Connecticut and one in Massachusetts.
Hey,
so if we can't make it to one, we'll try to make it to the other.
One of the bands that I've wanted to see in recent memory, I actually discovered through playing Guitar Hero Live. And they're from your neck of the woods, whatnot. They're over there from South Jersey, and that's the Gaslight Anthem. For whatever has escaped me, I never found them until I bought Guitar Hero Live on Wii U. And then when I did, I bought like 5 of their albums. I listen to them like weekly. I love them. And they just got back together for a reunion tour, but they're only doing it in like Virginia Beach, Chicago, and New York City and London. They have like 4 shows, and they're all like nowhere near me. So I don't think I'll be able to do that. The other ones, I want to see the Strokes, and I'd like to see the Alabama Shakes in person. I've never been able to see any of those bands. I mean, and that was one of the things we were talking about. I've been able to see most of them, like this, because it's something we used to do all the time. And good summer question.
Yeah, totally. We've got a few summer themed questions. It just kind of worked out that way, which is funny. So thanks, Drew. So we'll move on to the next one. Tyler asks, what's your favorite video game industry quote, and what impact did it have on you, if any? So to give you guys some time to think, because it's not necessarily something off the top of your tongue. Mine comes naturally from the great Shigeru Miyamoto. And this quote specifically is, video games are bad for you. That's what they said about rock and roll. And I think that's a great thing, especially nowadays where we look at our society and how things are now. Everybody wants to point the finger and blame something else for the way things are. This quote wasn't recent, and yet it still rings true nowadays, where people are like, blame video games for violence and such, where this guy's truly taken life experiences that may not mean anything to other people, but they meant something to him, and created these worlds that, 30, 40 years later, we're still experiencing things like Legend of Zelda and Mario and Pikmin and stuff like that just came from simple experiences in life. So that's something I like to try and think about every once in a while when things are going bad, and people like to put the blame on things that it's not always that way. Don't stop looking for a scapegoat and tackle the issue the way it really is. So let's go with Donnie next. I feel you might have one before Josh has one.
Not a chance. I got nothing. I'm trying to think, and I mean, it's, I got to tell you, I don't think it's something that I keep with me. Like, I don't really keep what video game makers say. I know Miyamoto's a terrible game is, I know that one. I know of it. I don't even know it. And it's, it's brought up, I guess, every E3 and every game delay. I feel like every podcast, every time a game is delayed for the last decade is, mention that quote, and I don't even know that. So I got nothing.
Okay. Josh, you got anything?
So I can tell you, I mean, Peter Molyneux might not be a guy you want to get quotes from as far as expectations. But Cliff Blazinski has had an interesting quote. where he said, "Nobody in this industry knows what they're doing. We just have a gut assumption based on the games that we can play." So I thought that was a little bit of a telling quote. I wouldn't say that I necessarily look up to game developer quotes per se. Like, first of all, a lot of popular game developers, like there's already a language barrier there.
That's
So
true.
who even knows what the quote could be even like originated as? So it gets wishy-washy, but you're more likely to pull video game character quotes out of me than developers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've
I
Googled
went
a
that way
couple.
at first too.
I've Googled a couple, and these can stand in as mine.
Okay.
From Reggie Fils-Aimé, I've got 2 of them. First one is
My body's ready.
no, 'cause everybody knows that one. His first quote is, "I feel like a purple Pikmin." Taken out of context, that's pretty good. Second one, he was quoted in 2008. Quote, "That's Sony's issue, not my problem." Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay.
Wait, who's the guy who did No Man's Sky? Sean what?
We're gonna look them up.
What's his name?
I forget.
Ridge Racer.
It's such a great quote that I'm missing out on. That we could totally burn No Man's Sky on. That quote he said, like, you can play with your friends and see them in all of No Man's Sky.
Oh,
and chase sandworms.
I
My
saw
favorite game
I saw
developer.
I saw that he tweeted out earlier that apparently the reviews on Steam have just gotten into like mixed.
Yeah.
So like they've moved into the he's like, "Guys, look, we're mixed
winning.
now.
We're winning.
Hey, good for him. Good for him. Living that dream. So next question comes from Chalfie. What's up, Chalfie? Thanks for the question as always. What is your go-to game when you're just not in the mood to start a new game or just bored with what you've been playing with? I'll go first again to give you guys some time to think about it. For me lately, it's been Hyrule Warriors, just because there's so much content there that I'm not going to complete 100% that game with everything there is to do for a long time, but I can jump in and knock out a few maps here and there. And then, of course, this goes without saying, and I left it out of my what you've been playing lately, is Fortnite. I can just jump in, play a couple matches, not have to be invested in what's going on. So, Donnie, how about you?
It's the hottest game in the planet, man. You got to quit leaving it out. We're losing all the listeners every time you leave out Fortnite. You got to talk about Fortnite. We should have a Fortnite show. Mario Golf, Zelda. I mean, just my favorites. I just always go back to a game. It's like, it really just, I have like a rotation. I have a handful of games that I just really love to play. And when I'm bored, when I'm tired of doing something, when I don't want to start something new, I play those games. So Zelda, The Last of Us, Gears, Mario Golf, anything in that realm, I just kind of rotate through them. And it just depends on which one I haven't played in a while. I haven't played Uncharted 4 in 3.5, 4 years. Well, let's boot that up and play it again.
Makes sense. Josh.
So normally it would be Destiny, or Destiny 2, if you will. It hasn't been for a while because I just haven't picked up a game to do that. But surprising myself, it's been Fortnite recently for me, just because I know I can play a match. For me, because I'm terrible, I can play 3 matches
10
with
seconds.
30 minutes. Yeah, so I can jump in and die, and then jump in again. No, but it's been interesting for me to experience it as a game and in general, because it's probably the first time I don't feel comfortable and successful at a game. So I kind of want to keep playing to try to get better at it. It's not working, but I'm trying. And Destiny 2, I jumped back into a couple weeks ago, and I will continue to jump into until I make that decision if I want to pop on the $80, essentially 2.5 expansion or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's like additional DLC, but it's priced.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the question, Chalfie. So our last question is 2 parts. So I'm going to start with part 1 so we don't forget about part 2. This comes from at Dante's Belmont. Opinions. I really didn't want to talk about this on podcast, but it came up, so we cannot deny opinions on the Chris Hardwick controversy. He is now cleared by AMC to host The Talking Dead again. So this has been a topic. Clearly, he hasn't been on our Discord lately, so we've been talking about this for a while now. Between what happened with James Gunn and then the brief thing, which seemed to drop off a lot quicker than I thought. The Rick and Morty creator, was it Dan Harmon?
Yeah,
his name.
yeah.
His controversy, which disappeared like within hours, nobody was talking about it, which I found really odd. And then today, Chris Hardwick was cleared by AMC, whatever that means, because that's also an odd term. Like, did AMC do an investigation on how?
I don't know how. But
That doesn't mean like that seems kind of weird. Like,
I know that they did. It is bizarre.
Yeah. So I mean, this whole thing, I don't know, man. I'm not a huge Chris Hardwick fan anyway. He's a talented guy. He's very good at what he does, but I also don't understand the hype around him as if he's the only person that could do this thing. So I don't know. I think people need to prioritize where the target is. Obviously, he hasn't been arrested or anything, so we don't know. The jury's out on this essentially for he's been accused of domestic violence. If you're following, or abuse of his ex-girlfriend, that's a little different than some of the people who are saying or making jokes that are also completely terrible, but didn't actually physically do anything to anybody, that are suffering worse consequences than Chris Hardwick is too. So it's fine. He can come back. That's cool. I just hope none of this is true and it's all just, an ex slandering him and whatnot. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. I mean, The Walking Dead, you're looking at Andrew Lincoln's last season coming up next season anyway. That show's dead. There's no way. I mean, I stopped watching it 2 seasons ago because it just got so bad that it doesn't matter if they continue with The Talking Dead anyway. So for me, it's a non-issue. I just wish people would think more level-headed about these things before getting people into trouble or the consequences they now have to face about something that really doesn't matter ultimately. That's my 2 cents. Josh, how about you?
So I was a huge Chris Hardwick fan. Basically idolized him because of what he did, is something that I aspire to do. I think that's why he has such a big fan base. And he's such a good interviewer, and he's a genuine fan of people, which is something I can appreciate. How well he handles himself. He's like a Jimmy Fallon type, where like he comes across as everyone's biggest fan, which really lends well to good interviews, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously this falls square in the middle of the Me Too thing, and I'm such a huge supporter of it. So of course I immediately believed his ex, Chloe, right? Like, why would she have any reason to lie?
Sure, right.
All these things, right? That you should believe them, and then everyone's waiting for that shoe to drop. When's the first situation going to happen where this person clearly is trying to slander someone? I don't know where that line is because I'm not an investigator. I was devastated when I heard about him, and I thought he was done, and he lost like all of his jobs.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So if whatever AMC did or whatever these people have been doing, I think it says a lot more about him that all these powerful women have come out defending him. So I think that says something to the point. So that might have helped in their investigation. It's probably a character investigation.
Yeah.
Not so really, if you read everything, it just sounds like he was just a jerk of a boyfriend.
Yep.
And if you read between lines, you might be able to see a line between domestic violence, but really, even she didn't say it was
right
as bad as it sounded, whatever the case may be. It's a very tough time right now for anyone. And unfortunately, like with the James Gunn thing, even after like Hardwick was first, the James Gunn thing was a targeted attack by someone for revenge.
Yep.
Against, and it is a political thing. They also went after Trevor Noah. They went after Dean Harmon. He says he has a list of 50 celebrities he's going to
No, it's 100. It's 100 celebrities. Yep.
So, they keep saying it's going to get worse before it gets better. Well, it's still getting worse.
It's still getting worse. It's been ongoing.
And we all have to sit here and we have to as fans of these people, decide if what's coming out is worth it for us to stop following or supporting or whatever these people. So would I ever try to defend James Gunn's tweets or Dan Harmon's TV pilot that was very clearly a Dexter parody that went a little too far, in my opinion? No, I'm not going to try to defend it because the things they do offend people.
Yeah.
It just never crossed my mind that it happened 10 years ago. And these people if you can never let someone change and grow and develop into a better person, we would, not all of us, because not everyone's done terrible things, but people have said jokes. People have done stupid things in their past. No one would have jobs in the public eye. So I think it's dangerous right now. So
yeah, it is.
Having Hardwick back, I think, is a step in a direction, whether it's a good or bad. I just said to the guys at work today, I said, would you want to come back?
Right. There's no way. Yeah. No.
What do you do in that situation? You have to come back from something that was extremely difficult for you, whether you're innocent or guilty.
Right. It's still awkward to
putting
come
yourself
back.
right back in the public eye for more criticism.
Totally.
So I don't know that there's a right answer, but I trust that AMC is making a decision based on what they want their company to be represented by. So if they feel like they did enough research into it and they want to bring him back, good for AMC, good for Chris Hardwick.
Yeah. Now AMC just needs to bring back comic book men. But anyway,
I know.
Donnie, your thoughts?
I mean, Josh summed him up pretty well. We don't really get a chance to talk about this. Josh and I only exchange debate over this via text message, and I often feel like a lot of nuance gets lost. Fans of or members of our Discord and our community have probably seen Josh and I go around and around about this. I agree with the term dangerous. It's a very dangerous climate we're in. I also agree that testimonies and reports should never be dismissed or thought of as weak. But at the same time, I am also a staunch believer that, I mean, we do live in a society that's innocent until proven guilty, not innocent until someone says you're guilty. And that's a super dangerous slope. And I'm always concerned when anybody gets fired over some social, chain fad, something goes viral, something without any clear evidence. It's not that folks shouldn't be believed. It's just that, I mean, that's just society. It's the law that we've adopted. If we're just going to go off and start taking everybody's word for it, I don't think that's a better society. I think it's a much, much worse society. And it's scary. Scary to the point now where, I mean, I'm not sure about you guys from a parental view. I mean, I've got serious lock and key on my kids' social accounts to the point where I'm pretty sure I don't even know if I'm even going to allow my children to have Twitter or Facebook. It's and in me, I'm probably more conscious of my tweeted messages than I've ever been. I mean, if anything, it's a huge wake up call. You can't even say anything as a joke. And look what happened to Colin. And I loved his joke. I thought it was hilarious. He totally got fired for it. I mean, it's dangerous. Dangerous is the correct term. And if I was famous, I would not have a Twitter account. I wouldn't even let somebody do it for me. What's the upside? You get to tweet somebody, what's the upside there? No, I'm good. I don't know. I'm also not I gave up The Walking Dead years ago. I get to be that hipster. It's nope. I saw that coming a long time ago. I've never watched The Talking Dead. I didn't read The Nerdist. Is that what he does?
Yeah. Well,
so I'm really not even tied or affiliated to him at all. I really don't know anything about him. So, yeah. But I mean, I do think I think it's important to note that, I mean, he has a wife. He's married. Yeah. This isn't his most recent girlfriend. There's not a long line of girlfriends coming out and saying the same thing. He has the support and backing of his wife. I mean, that goes a long way. Just like how one person's testimony shouldn't be dismissed, so should 12 other people's testimonies. So everybody's got an equal voice.
Agreed. So now that we've totally killed the mood of this podcast and brought it down to a somber tone, thank you all for sending in your questions. That wraps it up for the mailbag this week. So it's now time to check out the news of the week.
This week in Play Some Video Game News.
First up, Wario64 put out a tweet that made its way to our Discord earlier today. GameStop will be selling arcade cabinets. This is pretty darn cool. So Arcade 1UP is the company that's making them. They're making cabinets for Centipede, Rampage, Street Fighter, and Asteroids. All actually feature 4 games on the cabinet. They're 3/4 scale, so they're not quite the same
I
size.
thought they were at Walmart.
No, it's at GameStop. I mean, maybe Walmart's selling them too, but the tweet goes right to GameStop. That's the page I'm looking at now. So GameStop does have them. They are releasing on September 25th. They are not available in store, obviously, because how would you handle that merchandising nightmare in those tiny little stores? But they're only $400, which is pretty cool. If you want an arcade cabinet, this is definitely something for you to check out. So Donnie sending me a link. So apparently it is at Walmart as well. But it's definitely
at Walmart. They're cheaper at Walmart.
Ooh, but are they charging shipping? So GameStop is not charging
free
shipping.
2-day shipping.
Okay,
$2.99.
There you go. Are these the same ones? Yeah.
Centipede, the same company. Centipede, Street Fighter. So
wow. Okay, so get them from Walmart instead for $300. They're 3/4 scale, so not quite the same size. Obviously, they don't have the coin op. They're just press and play and go with it. They are super, super cool. So if you're somebody who's always had that man cave dream of having an arcade cabinet, this is probably the best way of doing it, and clearly the most affordable because the real deals cost a heck of a lot more than that. So not much to say on that. I just think they're pretty cool. And I mean, if I were to get one, I'd want the Final Fight, which wasn't on GameStop, so I don't know if it's on the Walmart, or Rampage myself personally. What about you guys? Is this something you, in a dream scenario?
No, just play an SNES Classic or any of those things. Why are you doing this? Like, you have a huge TV. I mean, I guess I get it if you just think the box is cool, but yeah. I mean, like, that's what you're getting right now, right? You're getting a ROM, an emulator,
totally.
and like a custom box. That's it, and like a cheap screen. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So let me air a word of caution to anyone looking to buy these.
Devin says, so hype. I hope they're still around for Christmas. No, you're not buying any arcade cabinet, Devin.
Yeah,
right? No.
As I would consider myself in the 1% in this category, growing up in a household that had over 50 arcade cabinets in the basement, where we could have any game come up to our house, because they also had all the boards for every game in the basement. So you just have like a Centipede cabinet, but you could put Tetris or Super Mario Brothers or anything in it. Those things take up a lot of space. They're heavy, and you think you want to play that game a lot, and you don't. You will play it for a couple days,
weekend,
and then you're just going to have this big piece of trash in your house, unfortunately. So I mean, that's a great idea. I think it's expensive, even though it seems like a good price point. I think if you go to actual arcade cabinet auctions, you can get a real actual arcade game for less than that price. So maybe shop elsewhere before you go to run to Walmart and buy a half scale, unless you only have room for half scale. But you also have to look into like all these arcade cabinets use CRT TVs and old technology. You could also look into like the pre-built, like modded arcade cabinets that people sell as well. It's a great idea, but it might not be the best idea.
There you go. So they just crapped on your dream, Dev. How do you feel about that? So moving on then. This one I thought was interesting, and I figured the Shack would actually not cover this because I bet it slipped under all their radars. There is an article I found that has 15 Smash Brothers Ultimate details that have been already changed from previous Smash Brother games to be brought into the modern age. I like to kind of go through the list here of cool things here. First one on there is Princess Peach, since being introduced to Smash Brothers, always had that defensive block using Toad, where she kind of holds out Toad and he's like screaming like, don't use me as a human shield. In Smash Brothers Ultimate, he actually jumps out and puts his arms out and defends the princess while the princess like actually blocks. So he kind of steps up and takes a hero role as opposed to being a human shield. So I thought that was kind of cool. The battlefield stage has been in existence in every single iteration of Smash Brothers. This time you can see while you're slugging it out in the new battlefield, in the background, you see all the old battlefields floating in the background of the screen. I'm going to send you guys the link here so you can follow along and check out the pictures in case you're wondering what I'm talking about here in the chat. Sheik's outfit gets an update to match similar to the Sheikah outfit in Breath of the Wild. So Sheik kind of gets an update too as well to look more like the Breath of the Wild armor style, like kind of the ninja gear she had on there too. So that's been tweaked a little bit. No duh, Kirby has new copy abilities for Ridley and the Inklings so far. There might be more. Pokemon trainers alternative color schemes reference the old classic games, so it actually goes back in different generations now when you're the trainer to match your Pokemon trainers from those ones. Let's see what else is in here. Snake, this is typical Konami fashion. So Snake obviously made his return. There's two things around Snake. One is they changed the logo, so it's not the same logo for Snake's face as it was in every single Smash appearance, because that was the Kojima look, so they kind of changed it a little bit so that it's not tied to Kojima in any way, shape, or form, which is kind of weird. And the other thing they took away was Snake's booty. Apparently, he lost his butt in the update as well.
Aww.
Yeah,
I knew that one. That was a
yeah, that came out early. That was
kind
kind
of a tweet that was making the rounds.
Yeah, totally. King DDD, his new Final Smash, takes a bunch of different main attacks from the end of Kirby's games and kind of mash them up all together, from Kirby Superstar Ultra and Kirby's Block Ball. The different attacks there too, so they kind of mix matching his background there. Some other things, not to go down the whole list, but there's a lot of different things there going cool. Oh, Game & Watch in that juggle move he has where he juggles the balls. Now it will, when he's doing that action, it will actually be the stock icon for the opponents he's fighting. So when you have like how many lives you have left, and it has like the little Mario head in the ball, he's actually juggling those instead of just generic black balls. So just kind of cool there. And then like sound effects are being transitioned back to the ones, Earthbound sound effects for Ness and Lucas reference back to the Earthbound games. Link's weapons, now he has the Breath of the Wild look. The Master Sword is scaled to how it was in Breath of the Wild, and his Final Smash obviously uses the ancient arrows and not the generic regular arrows he'd use. So little things there that people should check out there. Just the little minor details that he is truly taking in this game to make it an enhancement in the ultimate version of it so far. So I'm eager to see what else comes out, but these are just things that people picked up from trailers and posts already that have been minor changes that he's done. So, moving on then, we'll hit up some other quick things here too. Fortnite celebrated its 1 year anniversary with the birthday event that you got some cool little gear from. Nothing major there, but the big news is that right around the same time as it hit its 1 year mark in the Battle Royale mode, it has cleared the $1 billion in sales from a game that's free, which is insane. Moving on, so we have two more quick hit stories. Well, one quick hit story and then one we're going to talk about a little bit more. Continuing trend, we getting another title that is Xbox One and Nintendo Switch crossplay, and that is RPG Maker MV. So, yeah, it's not for everybody clearly, but it's just another thing that Microsoft and Nintendo are continuing to do, that supporting these things whenever possible. And it has an audience. It's just not, I don't think anybody that hangs out right here in this chat room right now.
I thought it was Crazy Justice you were going to talk about.
I'm not talking about Crazy Justice until it comes out at this point. And then lastly, this one Donnie's been wanting to talk about, and it's been brought up in other shows. I don't know if it's been in any of ours, but we're going to talk about it here. So new details have leaked on Project Scarlet, which is being dubbed as Microsoft's 2020 streaming Xbox. So it looks like the new generation will be coming out sometime 2020. And they're talking about two different models, one being the base model, which is probably going to be more akin to like the Xbox One X, where it's going to be the high top tier experience, this plays best on this, whatever it's going to be called. And then they're talking about a budget version that will be streaming only. So not even just digital only, they're talking streaming only, using Xbox Cloud software to actually stream all of your video games. So it's not even digital content. It's taking it one step further. Thoughts on this? I talked about it briefly in the Discord here too. I anticipate the regular hardware version to be top tier pricing, much like the Xbox One X is going to be expensive, but there's an audience for it. Clearly, that's the case as it is right now. And here's where I think some of us disagree here. I feel like the streaming box, only because they don't need to drop the price any lower to get people's attention, I think, is it's going to come out at the Xbox One S price. and be streaming only, which is still fine. It's still an attractive price point that we're looking at. But yeah, I don't think they need to do anything crazier than that to get it in people's hands with all this news and buzz. And clearly they've been just doing everything right, I think, between Game Pass and the backwards compatibility and everything. If they keep doing that trend and come out with a digital only, so you don't need to worry about discs ever again, and you just stream your stuff, then they could look at taking back that crown that they had last generation. But let's get Donnie's. Actually, no, let's get Josh's thoughts first, because I know Donnie's going to go off on this. So
yeah, I know Donnie has it loaded up and ready to go. I think it's great. I love this news. I think the thing I'm most skeptical about, I wouldn't even say skeptical, cautious. So if they put out the streaming box and they have hardware issues or whatever issues, it's a lot harder to get fixes to people with like just a streaming box than it would be to overhaul the UI for like the big console where they have the space. Or, will it be expandable memory more like the Switch? Will it be expandable memory like you need an external hard drive? If you're having networking issues, like all these things, I'm thinking about how you're going to deliver that product to people who, even though they're not paying a premium price, they're still getting that promise of like premium content. So if you're getting a streaming box for $250, $300, and the main big bad boy console, which will play 4K Blu-rays and whatever, is going to be $500-$600. Like, you can't be alienating. Well, it's not even. You can't have a separate groups for content. It should just be for hardware. So I'm excited and I'm anxious to hear more about it. The second that I saw that come up in conversation, I'm like, great, because I was one of the few people on board with the Xbox One being a cloud console.
Right.
Like, I was totally fine with that because I trusted them to do what they were doing. So maybe this is what they wanted the Xbox One to be. Maybe this will be something that they not only had a plan for 5 years ago, but have had 5 years to perfect it. Maybe that's what we're looking at. Who knows? But
I think that's fair.
As a Xbox fan who is a man, I am excited.
Xbox fan man.
So we'll see. But yeah, I want to hear what Donnie has thought wise.
Fair enough, Donnie. So we're running out of time. So I'm starting my watch. You got 5 minutes. Go.
Well, I'd like to start just by saying that while I enjoyed some of the responses and reaction that you guys are taking from the rumors of the Google streaming box, I definitely think you woefully underrepresented the news story, because they hired Phil Harrison, former, executive at Xbox, used to work for PlayStation, to run up their gaming division, and they were at E3 talking with companies about securing IP and studio backing. So while you may be right, maybe this is their Apple take into the Apple TV game concept, doesn't sound like it. All the evidence on the front end suggests they're trying to be a player. And if you're talking about building a streaming platform, and the ultimate caveat with Google entering the fray would be none other than, are they legitimate? Do they want to be a player like Xbox wanted to be a player? Would they take a loss early for gains later? If that's true, then they are forced to be reckoned with, because they've got the money to make it happen. And I mean, if it's a streaming platform, who better than the makers of YouTube? Like, you have to think they have the infrastructure in place to actually make it work. So I'm very interested in hearing what that is. And I would hope that we would hear about that before we hear about Scarlet, but I don't know. That said, the Xbox fan of me is somewhat excited. The news that leaked was really just somebody saying, hey, because I mean, we've known this for a while, right? Like Phil already mentioned it at E3. We're working on a streaming service. The next family of Xbox hardware.
Yep.
So we knew we were getting multiple versions, and I began speculating, and in the Discord we also began speculating we're gonna have an actual box and a streaming box. Guess what, guys? That's genius, because there's gonna be people out there like Devin who's never gonna buy a streaming box. Nope, I don't want it. It's not the best. Okay, then don't buy it. But there's always gobs and gobs and gobs of people that don't want to spend $500 or $600 to push the limits of 4K. They don't want to, especially in a Roku world. in a Amazon Fire TV world, in a Netflix world, people don't want to do that anymore. The masses. That's not how business is done in the electronics digital era in this space right now. So if they could come out with, and I was thinking about it, and I think this makes more sense than I think ever before. The Xbox Scarlet Beast console that they come out with could actually be expensive, more expensive than we think.
Right.
It wouldn't shock me if it's $600 because they could offer the streaming platform at a really cheap price at $100, $150. And they go, hey, you want native 4K, 60 frames? You want the best hardware that's ever been delivered? You could think they could go like PC spec, right? It's Microsoft. They could go way above and beyond anything that PlayStation will do. And they could say, that's there for you. I know it's a little bit more, but it's the best that you can get. You know, they can market that as premium. You know, it's Tesla, it's Mercedes. This is the best. PlayStation will never do this. And then they go, and if you don't, we have this platform that plays the exact same games on this little bitty box that's a lot cheaper. And like, who can fault them for that? I would, and the reason I was thinking that announcement, I don't know that I'm ready for a new Xbox.
Right.
I just bought an X. I don't want to buy another one. Even if it is 2020, that feels soon. I want to feel good about my X before I move on to something else. Do I want to spend another $500 or do I want to spend $150?
Right.
You know, like $150, I'll do that right away. You know, that's not even a thought. I'm like, sure. You know, but and then the reports that came out this week is that apparently Microsoft believes that they've improved latency. Everybody that's trying to stream thinks that they've improved latency, but if Microsoft has, like, if in fact it plays well and it, you know, it's still, and we can go over and over all the challenges of streaming, right? I know not everybody has internet and all that. They're not building a box for folks in Kansas. That's not what they're doing. That's not what this product is for. So, you know, and they have an answer for that, and a better answer than a last gen console. You know, that kind of killed Matrick on the Xbox One's announcement. He was like, well, you know, if you don't want a cloud machine, we have an Xbox 360. Now they actually have a legit alternative. If you can't stream, if you don't have the internet, we understand. We have a box for that. It's a little more expensive, but it's the best box you can buy. This makes sense. It also makes sense in the way that, unlike the Xbox One, where they hit you with no use games and cloud and DRM, and it was all, you know, it was just a shotgun blast of new, you know, break the mold, and people didn't like it. They were resistant. This lets them ease into the water. You know, it's, hey, we get it. You want discs. We have a box for that. But you know what? They start selling streaming boxes. It starts taking off. They start selling more streaming boxes. Maybe next gen, maybe they don't have a physical one. Maybe the physical one comes later. You know, like all of a sudden you start to adopt it and it just starts to fade out. And that's what Netflix did, right? Netflix used to have DVDs. And maybe they still do, but like, I don't know. You know, like, so it's like, that's kind of how you do it. This is genius if it works. And also, I think it's worth mentioning that this cheaper box doesn't necessarily mean it's streaming only. It could be a digital non-disk drive, limited hard drive, but you could have a DRM downloadable space. I would imagine they would give you, you know, 100, 250, 500 gigs. You can run the OS and maybe you can download 10 games that if you lose internet for the night, you can still play Cloud Scarlet, you know, and you have like a 30-day DRM check, which is what they do now. Like, it sounds like the future. I've been saying this ever since the Video Game Developers Conference, where they kept mentioning streaming and procedural generation. And there's a squeeze right now in the gaming space. I hope gamers are paying attention, because in 10 years, I think if I was making a prediction 10 years from now, there won't be as many people making games, or they'll all be smaller indie studios. Yeah. Because the days of these big AAA $50 million budgeted bankrolled game concepts are going away. We're already seeing that they're getting fewer and farther in between. It just doesn't make sense in the economic space. And if you're looking at from a console manufacturing, from a IP based company, Nintendo and Xbox, Sony, getting rid of the used game sales, controlling the price of your product, getting rid of retailers, getting rid of manufacturing, all of that is boosting your costs beyond belief. Yeah, I mean, that's where they're going. It makes sense monetarily for them. They can make a ton more money. They can control their product, control it forever. We could be seeing, you know, it could be like, what is it, a Xbox Game Pass?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when you think about too, the argument everyone goes through right away is the whole internet thing. Not everybody has great internet. I get that. But here's the thing, like the gamescape right now, the landscape in gaming, gamescape, I just trademarked that, PSVG, can't use that word, sorry guys. Get the gamescape now, everything's multiplayer. Yeah. Everything has online connections. So if you don't have a good internet connection, you're probably not doing a whole heck of a lot of gaming anyway because of things like these giant patches that come out pretty regularly on modern games when they come out, or the multiplayer aspect. Like if you don't have good internet, you're not playing Destiny 2. You're not playing Fortnite. You're not, doing any of these things. Call of Duty, you're missing on all these experiences. That is what gaming majority is now.
And I mentioned on Shaq, dynamic resolutions.
Yeah.
That was the thing with this super hardware. We need the crazy hardware. Well, guess what? The games aren't running 4K 60 anyway. They scale in between based on whatever they're framing and putting into it. So if you're not getting a locked experience on straight hardware, you might as well be streaming it. Like you're not really losing anything here. So, crazy. It's I'm both excited and scared. There's the scared part of me thinks like the way that I've always known games is going away, and I believe that to be true. It's not the same. It's going to change.
Josh messaged me Gamescape is a thing already, so trademark that.
Nice. Well, at least we know Kevin won't be starting GameSpace. But think about this though, like the Game Pass is such a great option, right? Think about what if they come out with a $150 console that's digital, it has a streaming option, it can let you download, let's say it's a minimum 5 games. You can put 50 gigs on the box. You can download and play for 30 days, or you can stream. And it launches with Game Pass day one for 100, and 100 games are there. We've never seen that option in gaming before. That's insane. So I'm excited. I think it's cool.
I'd be all over it. If that's true, I'd be all over it. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. It's like a no-brainer. You'd be telling your friends, you'd be like, look, $150, you play Halo, you play Gears, and you play State of Decay, and maybe they'll throw in Fortnite or PUBG or whatever, Minecraft. Sea of Thieves.
Bundled.
Yeah. That's crazy. It really is crazy.
PUBG and Sea of Thieves.
PUBG won't work. Anyway, all right, so we've gone on plenty long here, so let's wrap it up. That's the end of the news we got for this week. So Josh, where can people find you and what are you up to, sir?
You know what, just look for me under all the Board with VG stuff. We have a new episode dropping tomorrow. I don't know when you guys will hear this on Friday, right?
No, Monday.
Okay, we have a new episode dropping Thursday, which is tomorrow real time. Last week's episode, we had a huge guest from one of the biggest board game publishers in all of board games, from Plaid Hat Games. It coincidentally was their community manager who also just designed his first time game. It is, if you listen to the episode, you'll hear it, but it's kind of like an Overwatch style board game, with unique individual characters. But check that episode out. It's Board with VG. You obviously can find it in the PSVG feed. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and boardwithvg@gmail.com. So reach out to us. Definitely
check out that episode. It was a great episode. Well done, Josh and Kyle there. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, it was a great interaction there too. It wasn't, even if you're not a board game fan, essentially they gave you some insight into the industry, and he was a great, communicator, which, I mean, it's his job, so it works out well. Donnie, where can people find you and what are you up to, or what else do you want to plug?
Listeners of the show can follow my tomfoolery over on Twitter @PlayingNintendo. And you can talk directly to us in the Make Us Better community to Discord, which you can join by going to our website at psvg.blog and clicking on the Discord link. It's an automatic invite. If you're already there, invite a friend. And if you're not on either one, join up and invite somebody to listen to the show. Just tell them, like, hey, check out PSVG Podcast Network. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to plug our own Caroline, the 10 name, is doing a streaming thing now. She's on pretty much every day, twitch.tv/the Nintendo. So check that out. Give her a couple subscriptions to try to get to Twitch affiliate status. So help support her cause there. Obviously, Donnie already plugged the website. Everything else, you can follow me at PSVG Kevin. And if you're watching live, I'm announcing right now, we're recording a special episode tomorrow with someone who had some hands-on experience gameplay of Spider-Man on PS4 already. as well as it's got some FaceTime with the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and some other stories coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Returning guest Justin Warner will be live with me tomorrow night to discuss things all Comic-Con related, and that will drop next week. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, that will drop Wednesday. If you're watching live, you can watch that record tomorrow if you so wish. But I think that wraps up the show.
Like doing like a podcast with yourself? It's like the Eddie Murphy thing. Do you like record a script on like one side, or do you like use a mirror? Like
you were the only person not to jump on that joke, and you just did.
Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate it.
It's talent. I mean, we've always known Kevin's had the talent. I mean, but talking to yourself, that's got to be a lonely experience. But I mean, I guess if you're talking to like your alter ego, I guess you're not talking to yourself. Like in your mind, it is somebody different, right?
Well, he took off the fake beard and mustache, so now he's just identical to Justin Warner right now.
So with that being said, whether you're bipolar and talk to yourself, or you're a celebrity chef, or you're just a lowly podcaster like myself that works,
or all three,
or all three. More importantly, we ask everybody that you indeed never stop gaming.